After a long search, Deadpool had finally found the house of his dreams. Of course, the main reason he rented it was the price. Deadpool's new house was on Elm Street, making it cheaper than other alternatives. Also, many families had left the town because of sleep problems and the man with long claws who chased them in their sleep, so the town was quiet, especially at night. Deadpool had ended up in this specific zip code after a series of creative accounting errors involving a mercenary contract in Ohio and a very persistent IRS agent who didn't understand that chimichangas are a deductible business expense. He'd hitched a ride across state lines by sneaking into the back of a moving truck, hiding inside a crate labeled Fragile Antique Porcelain Dolls. "Day 3 in the box," Wade whispered to a porcelain doll whose glass eyes stared blankly into his soul. "The marshmallows are gone. The air smells like bubble wrap and my own feet. If the driver hits one more pothole, I'm going to lose my lunch. And since I haven't eaten since Tuesday, that's just going to be bile and regret. Are you listening to me, Gladys? Of course you are. You have no choice. You're a doll. I wonder if I can sue the Postal Service for emotional distress. Or maybe I'll just start a podcast. Deadpool's Crate Chronicles. Episode 1. Why do people collect these creepy things? Seriously, look at your tiny lace bonnet. It's 2026, Gladys. Get with the program. I mean, do you even have a TikTok? No, you just sit there looking like you're waiting for a Victorian ghost to inhabit you. If you blink, I'm throwing you out the back, Gladys. I swear on my golden-plated desert eagles." He chuckled to himself as the truck hit a bump, sending him headfirst into a pile of packing peanuts. Ooh, salted or unsalted? Just kidding, they're plastic. Delicious, crunchy plastic. I wonder if the driver knows I'm back here, or if he just thinks the dolls are getting increasingly chatty and aggressive. Deadpool began settling into his new home after the moving company he'd hired delivered his belongings. Actually, he only had about a box of belongings, and the moving company was a truck driver who had brought him there without his knowledge. After easily settling into his new home, Deadpool went for a walk around town. On the way, he encountered neighbors who were practically collapsing from exhaustion, and he greeted them in a friendly manner as he passed by, noticing their strange behavior. He even wondered if there had been a coffee festival in town recently. "Morning, Mrs. Higgins," Wade chirped at a woman trying to water her lawn with a bottle of Red Bull. "You look like a background extra from The Walking Dead. Love the sunken eye look. Very chic." Deadpool went into a restaurant to eat and socialize. The people inside the restaurant, after giving Deadpool a terrified look and seeing that he didn't have long claws, everyone took a sip of their coffee and continued eating. Deadpool immediately found an empty seat and sat down. He began examining the menu he picked up. He thought there was something strange about the menu. Everything on it was made with coffee. He thought to himself that he really lived in a place that loved coffee and chuckled. Returning home, Wade felt the itch of curiosity. Everyone's so jittery. Me? I need my beauty sleep. If I don't get at least 8 hours, my skin starts to look like it always looks, but I feel it in my soul. He walked to the bathroom and eyed the bottle of sleep-deprived pills. The label warned, "Do not exceed 1 pill. May cause vivid dreams and prolonged unconsciousness." "Challenge accepted, tiny plastic bottle," Wade said, tossing 4 pills into his mouth and washing them down with a lukewarm chocolate milk. He flopped onto his sleeping bag, his limbs turning to lead almost instantly. "See you on the flip side, Freddykins." Wade woke up. He wasn't in his house. The air was a humid mix of sulfur and sweat. Massive rusted boilers groaned in the darkness, and steam hissed like 1,000 angry cats. "Oh no!" Wade screamed, his voice pitching up into a comedic falsetto. "Where am I? Is this the set of a budget-restricted horror movie? I'm so young. I'm so beautiful under this mask. Help! Help!" A dark figure emerged from the steam. Freddy Krueger dragged his clawed hand across a metal pipe, creating a screeching sound that could peel paint. "Welcome to my world, little fly,"
Freddy rasped, his burnt face twisting into a hideous grin. "Here, I am the king of your nightmares."
"Ah, a claw man!" Wade shrieked, spinning around and running in the opposite direction.
"Don't hurt me! I have so much to live for! I haven't even finished my Golden Girls fan fiction yet!" Wade began a slapstick retreat, tripping over pipes, doing unnecessary somersaults, and accidentally running into walls. Freddy cackled, enjoying the chase. He loved the smell of fear, and this red-clad idiot seemed to be dripping with it. "You can't run forever, Wade!" Freddy yelled, appearing suddenly in front of him. "Oh God, he's a teleporter! It's cheating! Someone call the mods!" Wade turned and sprinted the other way, his heart racing, partly from the acting, and partly because the sleeping pills were keeping him locked in this dream like a fly in amber. He tried to wake up, pinched his arm, even tried to bite his own tongue, but the world stayed rusted and red. He was stuck.
Freddy was getting bored of the running. He wanted the meat. He slammed his claws together and the boiler room dissolved. "Let's see what really scares you, Mr. Wilson," Freddy hissed. The scene shifted. They were in a dark, damp laboratory. A man in a lab coat stood over a table, but it wasn't the workshop. It was worse. Freddy reached into Wade's mind and pulled out a memory that Wade had buried under layers of jokes and pop culture references. He showed Wade a version of Vanessa, his great love, but her face began to melt into the scarred, burnt texture of Freddy's own skin. Then Freddy pulled out a giant, shimmering screen. "Behold," Freddy roared, "your ultimate nightmare." On the screen, a movie began to play. It was a sequence of every time a character in a horror movie tripped over absolutely nothing while running away. Then it showed a version of the Merc with his mouth sewn shut and lasers coming out of his eyes. "No," Wade whispered, his playful facade finally cracking. "Not the silent treatment, not the version of me that looks like a thumb with eye lasers, anything but that." Freddy laughed, stepping closer. "And look, here is your comic book collection being recycled into toilet paper. And here is a world where tacos were never invented. And look, a massive line at the DMV that never ends. And the only music playing is the Baby Shark song on a loop forever." Deadpool froze. The jokes stopped. The air in the dream world turned cold. Colder than Freddy's heart. "Okay, Freddy X," Wade said, his voice dropping to a dangerous gravelly register. "You poked the bear. You touched the girl. You brought up the movie that shall not be named. But the tacos? You just crossed the line into extinction-level event territory. You using slasher clichés like a kid who just discovered a soundboard app." Freddy sneered. "What are you gonna do? You're in my world. I control the..." "You control the dream?" Wade interrupted, his hands moving to the hilts of his katanas. "Buddy, I've been living in a nightmare since I got my powers. My whole life is a fever dream written by people who get paid in caffeine and spite. You're just a guy in a Christmas sweater who forgot to use sunscreen." Wade lunged. He didn't run away this time. He moved like a blur of red and black. Freddy swung his claw, but Deadpool caught Freddy's wrist midair. "You think this is scary? I've seen things that would make your sweater unravel." Deadpool twisted Freddy's arm until the bone snapped with a sickening pop. "I've had my head cut off and used as a bowling ball. I've been eaten by zombies. I've even sat through a 3-hour opera in German." Deadpool kicked Freddy in the stomach, sending the Dream Demon flying through a brick wall. Wade didn't wait. He drew his pistols and began firing. In the dream world, the bullets were the size of watermelons. "I can't wake up because of those pills," Wade growled, walking toward a reeling Freddy. "Which means I have all the time in the world to show you what a real nightmare looks like. My brain is a 24-hour channel of chaos, and I'm about to give you the remote." Deadpool grabbed Freddy by the throat.
You want to see my fears? Fine, let's look at my browser history. Suddenly, the world around them shifted. The boiler room was replaced by a chaotic, neon-drenched sensory overload. A giant pixelated Dogecoin dog spun through the air, while a chorus of skibbity toilet heads emerged from the floor, chanting in a terrifying, high-pitched rhythm. "Look, Freddy, it's the brain rot! Can you feel your IQ dropping?" Deadpool shouted. To the left, a swarm of grumpy cats began hissing insults about Krueger's sweater, while to the right, a massive, muscular Chad version of Deadpool did the orange justice dance over a pile of burning "This is fine" memes. The distracted boyfriend appeared, but the boyfriend was Freddy, the girl in red was a giant taco, and the jealous girlfriend was the concept of death herself. Suddenly, a giant gnome child floated by, whispering, "You've been gnomed," followed by the ear-splitting sound of a troll face cackling from every pipe. "Is this the metaverse everyone's complaining about?" Freddy screamed, clutching his head as a tidal wave of Doge memes and spinning leak girls washed over him. He tried to summon a wall of fire, but it just turned into a giant L symbol. The sheer absurdity and fractured logic of Deadpool's mind were like acid to Freddy's psyche. He couldn't control this. It was too loud, too fast, too insane. "What's the matter, Fred? Not a fan of The Masked Singer?" Deadpool pulled out a giant mallet labeled the Banhammer. "Wait, please," Freddy begged. "Sorry, Freddy, Elm Street has a new sheriff, and he wears a lot of red so you can't see him bleed," which happens a lot, actually. It's quite a mess. Wade swung the mallet with the force of a falling moon. It connected with Freddy's head, shattering the dream demon into a million pieces of burnt toast. Deadpool snapped awake in his house. He was drenched in sweat, his heart hammering against his ribs. He sat up, checked his mouth, still there, and checked his taco supply, still safe. He walked over to the window. Outside, the sun was rising over Elm Street. For the first time in years, the neighbors were sleeping deeply, so deeply that one guy had fallen asleep while mowing his lawn and crashed into a mailbox. Wade grinned, pulling a Sharpie out of his pocket. He walked over to the bathroom mirror and wrote, "Deadpool was here. Freddy is a loser." "Well," Wade sighed, looking at the empty bottle of sleeping pills, "that was a productive night. Now, who do I talk to about getting a hero of the neighborhood parade? I accept payment in cash, churros, or a guest spot in the next MCU movie."